This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 161. This is the Best of the Worst tournament, 80s movie villain edition. If you were listening to us this week, we had a mini pod review of Deadpool and Wolverine. This is our first full episode since that mini pod. And this one is a bracket episode. That's right, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode, we raise our glasses and toast to the baddies who made the 80s so delightfully dangerous. Today, we're diving into the dastardly deeds of the villains who defined a decade. Because what's a hero without a nemesis with a bad perm and a thirst for world domination? Grab your proton packs, your boomboxes, maybe a stiff drink. Because these are the villains who had us all rooting for the dark side, if only for a moment. Whether it's an evil mastermind, a menacing robot, or just that one guy who won't stop monologuing, we've got them all covered. So sit back, relax, and let's revel in the bad guys who made the 80s totally rad. Mike, that's another one I had to avoid there too, is there's so many Bond villains from the 80s I could have added as well. And I was like, there's so many. You got everybody listening, you will see when we get to the main segment, this was difficult. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsfermentation. Find all our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. We are part of Deluxe Edition Network at the Den, deluxeeditionnetwork.com. Don't forget the Denny Awards are coming up. You can still vote online. The link will be on the show description. Go to the Den to check out the podcast of the month for the month of August, Horsing Around, the Red Horse podcast. The Red Horse podcast host Joel Sharp and producer Jared Piccioni lead the boys from the Red Horse Hair Studio, Shane, Cisco, Sean, and Guapo, through their nonsensical banter from cutting room floor and deliver it in this hilarious no-holds-barred podcast. From conspiracies and monsters to ghosts and surreal true life, your squishy brain will be filled with so much awesomeness. That's the Horsing Around podcast, the Red Horse podcast on the Den. Gentlemen, what are we drinking this evening?
Well,
I went through a list of like villain cocktails online trying to find something, and I found a lot. And I'm like, I had the ingredients for all of them, and I'm like, I could have made them, but I was just lazy today. I've been sweating a lot the last couple of days because we've been walking up and down the boards down the Jersey Shore. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm just drinking something cold and refreshing, and something that says summertime to me. So I'm drinking a Mike's Hard Black Cherry Lemonade.
Nice.
Michael, what do you got going on there? Looks like you got something mixed.
No. I am actually drinking Smokey's blended whiskey on the rocks.
Nice. Yeah, man.
I am going through some of my locals. So I have a few lined up. I have the Pilsner style lager from Double Nickel, which is based out of Pennsauken. This is 5.6. Then I will move on to the IPA, India Pale Ale from Double Nickel, which is 8% alcohol by volume. And then I'll finish with something sweet from Cape May Brewery, which I've had on the show before, Crushing It, which is an orange India Pale Lager, kind of reminiscent of the Orange Crush that we're all familiar with from the shore. And this is 8% alcohol by volume.
Nice. Mike, anything special happening? It looks like we have a lot happening this week.
This week in film history.
So I'll take the first one there because I put that on there earlier. It's Disney this week announced their 2024 Legend inductees. Every year they list a group of actors, directors, engineers, things like that that have done things for Disney that make them legends. This year's inductees are Harrison Ford, Ryan Seacrest, Joe Rohde, who is one of the engineers for the Imagineering department.
He is the Imagineering.
He is the Imagineering department. Kelly Ripa, Miley Cyrus, James Cameron, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Williams, Angela Bassett, and Frank Oz. Those are your Legends inductees this year.
I see there's a pattern. They all have worked for Disney or have been bought out by Disney. So
that's why they would be.
That's why they're Disney legends.
Oh, okay.
Last year, one of last year's inductee was Jon Favreau.
Yeah, he pretty much created the MCU for them. So yeah, you think?
I think Feige too, right? Was it Feige inducted or just Favreau? Favreau's also got the Star Wars too with Mandalorian and all that.
Yeah.
What else we got there, Mike?
1939, The Wizard of Oz, American musical fantasy film adaptation of L. Frank Baum's book, premieres at Grauman's Chinese Theater, Hollywood, directed by Victor Fleming and King Vidor, with cast featuring Julie Garland, Ray Bolger, Jack Haley, Burt Lahr, Frank Morgan, Billy Burke, and Margaret Hamilton. Songs by Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg.
All right.
Yep.
I love Wizard. Anybody interested in going back to some of our previous episodes? Every now and then we do a recasting episode or we recast a classic film for modern audience. We have a Wizard of Oz recasting episode in the archives there. So if you're interested, go back and check that one out. It was a fun episode.
Gotta be careful. That sounds like hidden promoting to me.
It is.
No, he just
that'll get me suspended on Reddit again.
He just wants people to yell at me about my Cowardly Lion.
I don't even remember who your Cowardly Lion was.
Wolverine.
Oh, Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
No, was it Hugh Jackman or was it? No, it was Obi-Wan.
It was Ewan McGregor.
It's Ewan McGregor. Yeah.
McGregor. Well, if you want to go back and find out how I try to squeeze Donald Glover into every recasting, you can go back and listen to our Wizard of Oz episode because I do it there too.
Yes, you do.
What's the next one we got there, sir?
1951, A Place in the Sun, film adaptation of Theodore Dreiser's An American Tragedy, directed by George Stevens, starring Montgomery Clift, Elizabeth Taylor, and Shelley Winters, premieres in Los Angeles, California, wins 6 Academy Awards, including Best Director in 1952.
One of Taylor's early films, I think.
Yes.
Too. Yeah. I'm not up to date on my Elizabeth Taylor itinerary though.
It's 6 Academy Awards. I thought you would know the movie.
I mean, I know of the movie. It's not one that I have seen. I'm not prior to 1960. I'm not as well versed as you might think.
In 1965, the Beatles taped an appearance for a U.S. variety show, The Ed Sullivan Show. We got a nice show for you today.
I heard of those
Ladies
guys.
and gentlemen, the Beatles.
A little indie rock band, weren't they?
Yeah, something like that.
Go ahead. What's your next one there?
In 1967, Bonnie and Clyde, crime film directed by Arthur Penn and starring Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, is released.
All right. I added a little something here because I watched a documentary actually this morning, and it was really good, and I wanted to recommend it. And it's funny that this is one of your facts because Gene Wilder has a very small cameo role in Bonnie and Clyde. It's one of his first film roles. And this morning I watched a documentary on Netflix called Remembering Gene Wilder. And it was an hour and a half long documentary detailing his life and his acting career and stage career and everything, and it was really, really good. It's produced by I think her name was Julie Nimoy. She's Leonard Nimoy's daughter. Was the producer of this documentary. It feels a lot like that Remembering Leonard Nimoy documentary because of it.
The Love
But it was
Spot.
really, for Love of Spot. But it was really cool because it was narrated by Gene Wilder. Because he had written an autobiography around 2010, and so a lot of like the narration comes from him reading excerpts from his autobiography. And then around 2013, he's diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he passes away in 2016. And so
Right.
that 3-year period in the documentary then becomes narrated by his second wife, who was with him when he passed. And so it's like sad and beautiful all at the same time. But it's like a really, really good documentary. And I learned a lot of things I didn't know about him, which was kind of cool. So I highly recommend the Gene Wilder documentary on Netflix called Remembering Gene Wilder. What's your next one you got there, Mike?
That is another hidden promotion.
For Netflix.
In 1979, Apocalypse Now, directed by Francis Ford Coppola and starring Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, and Martin Sheen, is released. Brando and Duvall in a Francis Ford Coppola movie.
It was also Lawrence Fishburne's first movie.
Yes.
He lied about his age to be on the set.
Yep.
It is, what's the line? I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. And your last one there, sir. It's about that little indie studio that nobody cares that much about.
Yeah, no. In 2019, Disney Studios is the first studio to have 5 films earn over $1 billion each in 1 year, with Toy Story 4, Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Aladdin, and The Lion King. Soon to also have Deadpool and Wolverine on that list.
Well, this was just in 2019. They had 5 films with $1 billion. Now, Aladdin and Lion King kind of a cheat there because those are the live action quote unquote reboots.
Well, those are 2 movies that at least one of them is where it helped Favreau get his legendary status.
Yeah, it's it's weird. Like Captain Marvel came out the same year as Avengers Endgame, but it feels so like there's so much distance between those 2 films for some reason.
It does.
And
it's the critical appeal.
It's funny thing is that it made over $1 billion, but was considered like a dud.
I thought it was all right.
I liked it. No, I'm not saying like in terms of it not being a good movie. It was more like it didn't do what they thought it was going to do at the box office, which is funny considering it still made $1 billion worldwide. I think domestically it was kind of like that disappointment for them. Mike, you have any must-try beer or craft destinations for this evening?
I have a must-try beer. I have Escorpion Negro Black Ale from Baja Brewing Company, San Jose del Cabo, Mexico. Craft from south of the border can be darned impressive. Some of the lager Mexican brewers make extremely clean, smooth, dark lagers, but this one, an ale that is roughly complex, who has a roughly complex sort of charm. Expectedly a dark ale with tan foam, it's got grain-like black malt aroma and sort of like corn grits mixed in your morning coffee. There's a bit of fullness on the palate, medium sweetness, and a burnt corn chip note. It finishes rather neutral despite the dark grains and lack any hop bitterness. It is 5.5 alcohol by volume. There you go, boys.
You had me until burnt corn chip note.
Yeah, I was like,
burnt corn chip don't sound all that appealing to me.
Not me either. But...
Yeah. For the first time in a long time, I don't have to ask Kevin if he has beer news because I actually know now instead of having to wait till we get to the segment to ask.
I have beer news.
He has beer news.
I have beer news.
Beer is good. Beer is good. It's up. Beer is good. Beer is good. Beer is good. Let's go drink some beer.
Beer. All right, gentlemen. How many of us got our start on Coors Genuine Draft? Is it Coors? No, that's Miller Genuine Draft. Coors beer, Coors Light.
It's a funny question. Like, what is the first beer you remember ever drinking?
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yingling or Rolling Rock, because that's what my father had around.
Mine was Killian's Irish Red. That's the first beer.
So the answer to your question is no, Kevin.
No, I was started on Coors.
No, none of us started
Coors.
All right, let's be frank. Molson Coors wouldn't be offloading these few craft beer brands if craft beer sales weren't slowing and they were profiting, but they're not. And if you think that this sale isn't an omen that should concern every craft brewer, you'd be kidding yourself. On August 13th, Tilray Brands, a Canadian cannabis company that has been buying up American craft breweries, announced that it has reached a definitive agreement with Molson Coors Beverage Company to acquire 4 craft beer brands, a transition expected to close later this month. The acquisitions include Hop Valley Brewing Company out of Eugene, Oregon, Terrapin Beer Company out of Athens, Georgia, which I think I've had a few Terrapins before, Revolver Brewing out of Granbury, Texas, and Atwater Brewery out of Detroit, Michigan. Excuse me. In 2023, the global cannabis lifestyle and consumer packaged goods company acquired 8 beer and beverage brands from Anheuser-Busch, including Shock Top, Breckenridge Brewery, Blue Point Brewing Company, 10 Barrel Brewing Company, Red Hook Brewery, and Widmer Brewing Brothers Brewing. That all-cash transaction, which included current employees at the time and breweries and brewer pubs associated with those brands, was rumored to be around $85 million, according to a filing made in the Securities and Exchange Commission. Once Tilray's deal with Molson Coors closes, the company will add 6 new U.S. breweries to its holdings and 20 craft breweries overall, with a combined capability of producing more than 1 million barrels of beer annually. It might strike
pass it around. Oh.
It might strike some as odd that the largest cannabis producer in the world is investing so much capital into craft beer biz at a time when the industry is slowing, unless you're thinking strategically and looking toward the future. A future of recreational cannabis is legal nationally, and Tilray can start producing cannabis-infused brews, with the latest 4 property acquisitions only furthering that goal. And it continues to talk about the transactions and their future for the company and how this has been in the works since about 2021. Actually, 2020, I should say. It started with Sweetwater Brewing. So what does the latest acquisition tell us about the current state of craft beers in the U.S.? It's not good. The craft beer industry has matured, national sales are slowing, and majors want out of the biz. In the wake of the Bud Light trans fiasco, Molson Coors has been on a roll, and they are tightening things down for the future by offloading 4 craft breweries that they'd lose interest in, just as consumers appear to be losing interest in the craft beer nationally, which is sad. I do think the market's saturated with craft breweries, but without them, how do you experiment? How do you try to see something new, and some breweries, which I really enjoy and I like their beers, I will be sad to see them go if this happens. So,
I mean, the hope is that this company that's buying them out continues to produce the beers, and then that's at least a good thing. It might be outside of the U.S., but I mean, the company itself might be outside of the U.S., but maybe the breweries will still remain in the U.S. because it'll be their way of introducing their product into the United States through the acquisition of these breweries. Start setting up like pot beer camps, like. I was like skimming through your article a little bit here, and it was like it said that all told, with cash and stock options, combined, it was a $300 million transaction to buy all of those breweries. And I'm like, how much could this company be worth to spend 300? Oh, well, they're worth $3.8 billion.
$3.8 billion, yeah, with a B.
Yeah, with a B.
With a B.
I'm more interested in the second article you have posted here.
Beers in space. Space beer, anyone? Hops flying on SpaceX's private astronaut mission Inspiration 4 will be auctioned for charity. Billionaire Jared Isaacman, who is looking into a brewery to make beer in space with space-flown hops for a good cause. The tech entrepreneur and experienced pilot has chartered a SpaceX flight to send himself and 3 other passengers, all private citizens, into orbit for a 3-day mission in a Crew Dragon spacecraft. Called Inspiration 4, the mission is scheduled to lift off on September 15th from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, riding to orbit on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Hitching a ride to space with the Inspiration 4 crew will be 70 pounds or 32 kilograms of hops, an ingredient that it adds bitterness and aroma to beer. And when that hops returns to Earth, Isaacman plans to auction it off to a brewery and donate the funds to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, he announced on Twitter August 12th, adding that interested breweries should inquire on inspiration4.com. That is not a hidden promotion. Isaacman also donated 2 of the 4 seats on the Inspiration 4 mission to St. Jude, which is located in Memphis, Tennessee. One went to Haley Acre later, I don't know, a physician's assistant at the hospital and childhood survivor of bone cancer. The second seat was given to Christopher Sebrowski after he won the ticket to space in a fundraising raffle. The sweepstakes brought in more than 72,000 donations, totaling more than $13 million, in addition to the $100 million Isaacman pledged to donate. The 4th passenger will be Cian Proctor, the winner of the entrepreneur contest run by Isaacman's Shift for Shop e-commerce platform. Isaacman's Inspiration 4 mission won't be the first to launch beer-making supplies into orbit. NASA has flown hops into the International Space Station to brew beer in space for a student experiment, and Budweiser recently launched barley seeds into the orbiting laboratory to study the barley malting process in microgravity. Space-flown yeast has also been used to successfully brew space beer on Earth.
It doesn't excite me as much as it did just in the headline.
Yeah,
I thought it had something to do with making the beer, but like it's basically they're just giving the hops a ride.
They're giving the hops a ride and donations. It's all for a good cause. I would like to hear more about the brewed space beer for the student experiment. I'll have to see if I can find that.
See, that made sense to me because it was like, an experiment. They're trying to make something in space. This isn't making anything in space. It's just, hey, these hops left orbit, but they're back now.
Oh, I'm going to give you guys a teaser. So I'll do a follow-up next week with beer in space. 11-year-old tiny brewery will fly to space station. An 11-year-old's brewery. This is my kind of kid.
Maybe we'll change your segment from Beer News is Good News to Beers in Space.
Anyway, that's all I have.
Beers in Space.
On this episode of Beers in Space.
We'll be right back after this brief word from Coffee Brothers.
I love a good beer, but right now, I can use a good cup of coffee.
Have you heard about Coffee Brothers?
Oh, yeah. They're that coffee company out of New York, right?
Well, they're more like a coffee wizards of New York City. They source these amazing seasonal blends and single origin coffees. It's like a flavor adventure in every cup. And get this, they roast everything in small batches. None of that mass-produced stuff. It's like each bean gets the VIB treatment.
VIB?
Very important bean.
Sounds fancy, but is it worth it?
Definitely. Plus, they're a 2-person team. I mean, that's dedication right there. Two brothers, one mission to caffeinate the world. And right now you can save 10% on your order. I mean, who doesn't love a good discount?
All right, you've convinced me. Let's get some Coffee Brothers now.
Coffee Brothers, where every cup is a sip of perfection. Save 10% on your next order with the code FNF10. That's FNF10. Cheers to great coffee. Hey, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us during that brief little announcement from Coffee Brothers. We're now moving on to our main segment. Tonight is 80's villain, movie villain tournament. The best of the worst of the 80's films. Now, this was a fucking tough one. So,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna curse. My mom listened to the show and she was upset that I curse so much. I have to try to hold back on my fucks. So
we got so we have to get a little counter on Leo's fucks. Ding, ding.
I ain't fucking worried about it. I can handle it. So
I'm gonna give him a swear jar.
As I was saying, I went through a ranker list and brought out 20 villain names, put together a bracket, and then looked at another list and changed names on that bracket, and then added a vote-in bracket, and then had a really long list of honorable mentions because I just couldn't make up my name or make up my mind. So now,
how much
what we ended up what we ended up having here is hopefully a good bracket at this point. So we did a vote-in round to get it down to a Sweet 16, and the 4 names that did not make the Sweet 16 but were in the top 20 were Ace, played by Kiefer Sutherland and Stand By Me; Ed Rooney, the principal and antagonist of Ferris Bueller and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, played by Jeffrey Jones; Ivan Drago from Rocky IV, played by Dolph Lundgren. I must break you. And Dick Jones and Clarence Boddicker, the duo of villains from RoboCop. They did not make the top 16. And we have a whole long list of honorable mentions here before we get to the main list. Our honorable mentions of 80's villains that did not make the cut into the Sweet 16: Chucky from Child's Play, Pinhead from Hellraiser, Jack from The Shining, Chun-Li from Bloodsport, Lord Humongous from The Road Warrior, Clubber Lang from Rocky III, Cujo from Cujo, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, The Darkness from The Neverending Story, Tony Montana from Scarface, Lieutenant Barnes from Platoon, Al Capone, played by Robert De Niro in The Untouchables, Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon, Stan Gable, Ogre and the Alpha Betas from Revenge of the Nerds, Gordon Gekko from Wall Street, the Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Stripe from Gremlins, Skeletor from Masters of the Universe, Unicron from Transformers the Movie, and Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China.
Couldn't you say the Nazis from any movie they were in?
Yeah, basically. But I was like, I knew like there was Belloc and there was the other guy, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put names down. It's just the fucking Nazis. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Nazis win bracket because they were real, and that's it.
Yeah. So here is our top 16, our Sweet 16 for the bracket we have here.
Sweet 16 or just Villainous 16?
The Villainous 16. The Sweetest Sin 16. The Joker in the 1 seed, Darth Vader / Emperor Palpatine in the 2 seed, Hans Gruber in the 3 seed, 4th seed Terminator, 5th seed The Predator, 6th seed Freddy Krueger, 7th seed Jason Voorhees, 8th seed Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, 9th seed Johnny and the Cobra Kai from Karate Kid, 10th seed General Zod from Superman 2, 11th seed Roy Batty from Blade Runner, number 12 seed Khan Noonien Singh from Wrath of Khan, 13th seed Gareth the Goblin King from Labyrinth / David Bowie's Codpiece, 14th seed Ed Rooney. Wait, didn't we vote him out?
Yes.
Yeah, we voted him out. So it is
Judge Doom.
It didn't change the numbers for me. So the 14th seed is Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. 15th seed is Alex Forrest from Fatal Attraction. And the last one we have here is the Kurgan from Highlander. There can be only one. So it breaks down then that our first seed, the Joker from 1989 Batman, will face off against 16th seed Alex Forrest, played by Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. So what is it, folks? Dancing with the Devil by the Pale Moonlight or Boiling a Rabbit? Which one are we going with here? I don't know. Kevin's like, come on, man. You're such a Batman.
I know. I'm trying to give reasons. I mean, there's so many reasons. You know, the Joker is just insane and villainous towards many. Alex was focused on her stalker, or not her stalker, her subject or prey. Even though she was a lot more manipulating, Joker's just fucking crazy. So I'm going to go with Joker.
I'm going with Joker as well. Mike,
doesn't matter. Joker.
You want to vote, or are you going with Joker as well?
Yeah, Boiling the Rabbit, you know, it gets a lot of points, but the Joker's the Joker.
You have to also consider that Michael Douglas was kind of in the wrong there too. He should have had an affair in the first place.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, all the Joker did was dance with the devil by the pale moonlight.
Well, he shot Barbara Gordon in the stomach, you know, paralyzing her.
We're talking about movies. We're not talking about the Killing Joke.
Yeah,
that's a movie. It's technically a movie now.
If we're going to go going that we, you know.
But we're talking 80s villains, and that film did not come out till recently. So,
well, okay, let's say Jack Nicholson's Joker killed many with his balloons. Those are my balloons. Why didn't tell me?
Tell me he had one of those things.
Those things.
Where does he get all those wonderful toys? Moving on, let's we're going to swing over to the other side of the bracket now, and we're going to look at number 3 seed Hans Gruber versus 15th seed Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit.
I'm saying Judge Doom because, man, he's killing cartoons.
I'm Hans Gruber.
He's a thief.
He's Alan Rickman.
Yes, but he's just a thief.
We're lucky Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves didn't come out to the 90s. I really would have been confused.
Because, no.
Yeah, I got to go with Judge Doom on this one. He traumatized me by killing a innocent little squeaky shoe cartoon. And he did it slowly, too. You watch the poor thing in pain as it's lowered into the dip.
Yeah.
He killed Eddie Valiant's brother. He's taking away the red car.
Hans Gruber got voted out by Judge Doom. 9th seed Johnny and the Cobra Kai, rather, from Karate Kid versus Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. It's a battle of the bullies. This is a tough one.
Kick him in the balls, Johnny. Yeah.
I think Biff Tannen is like he's a bully, but he's kind of a goofy character too. I mean, he does try to rape Marty's mom, which is kind of brutal, but for the most part, like
killed Marty's dad in the alternate 1985.
Yes, but he did not try to cripple a guy in a contact sport.
Yeah, like I feel like Johnny and the Cobra Kai, especially because it's like this whole group. Plus, they have the teacher Kreese, who's the one that teaches them their evil ways. Like they're a little more threatening. I feel like.
Yes.
So my vote's for Johnny.
Johnny.
Sweep the leg. Put him in a body bag.
Kick him in the balls, Johnny.
No mercy. Let's go to the other side again. 11th seed Roy Batty from Blade Runner versus Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street. I have a feeling Mike's going with Freddy because it's his favorite horror film.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Freddy because
I'm going with Roy Batty just because I love that monologue at the end of the film when he's in his death scene. So that leaves it up to Kevin. Rucker Hauer or what's the actor's name? Plays Freddy Krueger. It slipped my mind all of a sudden.
Yeah,
London.
England.
England, yeah. Robert Englund.
Robert London.
Robert Englund.
If Deckard, right? Decker wasn't after Decker, sorry. If Decker wasn't after Roy Batty, wouldn't he have just gone his own way? It's not. Was he committing crimes, or was he just being chased because he was a escape replicant?
It's a good point. He was basically being escaped because he was an escape replicant. He does kill some people in the film.
Right, but it's primarily because he's being chased and he's trying to avoid getting caught.
So what you're saying is you're sympathetic to the replicants.
I kind of am, yeah.
So
Freddy now Freddy you can be sympathetic towards too. He was set ablaze for no other reason than the town people didn't like him. You know, he may have been a little pervy.
Who's not?
Yes, but he did make that glove before they killed him.
Oh, well, that's true. I'm going to go with Freddy on this one.
Freddy's also a little more entertaining from a witty standpoint, too.
That's definitely Freddy.
So the higher seed in that case, Freddy Krueger moves on.
Give me some
that
sugar,
takes
baby.
us to, man. Mike.
Yeah, I know. It's tough.
Fifth seed Predator, the Predator itself, versus 12th seed Khan Noonien Singh from Wrath of Khan. Ooh, love Wrath of Khan.
I'm going with Khan just because he went to the station, left the bodies hanging there.
So did the Predator.
Yeah, but that's his job. He's a hunter. That's what he does.
But the carnage the Predator left behind, plus it's cool.
He killed fucking Spock.
No, Spock sacrificed himself because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Khan had a singular focus too. His whole arc was he was on a revenge mission against Kirk.
Yes, but before that, his whole thing was to take over the universe anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's.
I think I got to go with Khan. Dude, Predators just doing what Predators do, man. Boys will be boys.
You guys are just trying to piss me off tonight. So Khan
doing what they do, man. It's not like you go to Predator
Kevin and I agree on a lot of this shit. Come on now,
and you see a Predator behind the barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
I just have different standards when it comes to my villains. I guess I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That brings us to 7th seed Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th franchise versus General Zod from Superman 2. This is the Terrence Stamp version of General Zod.
Kneel before Zod.
Kneel before Zod.
Kneel before Zod. Jason Voorhees must kneel before Zod.
Mike's also biased anyway because he prefers Freddy over Jason.
No, because Jason, his whole villainous is because they drowned his ass.
So you're blaming it on the kids.
I am.
Those damn teenagers always having sex in the woods.
I'm telling you, it's not his fault. There's the promiscuity of young teens in camps. Not his fault.
I'm basing my vote on the fact that Voorhees is just, a guy in a costume stalking people in a film, whereas General Zod is a Terrence Stamp scene-chewing performance that's hard to beat.
I'm just a monster standing in front of campers, asking them
to love me. Ask them to stop having sex in the woods.
Keeping me awake at night.
Dirty and gross.
Get a fucking room, guys.
Not my fault you end up with poison oak on your balls. So I voted for Zod. Mike, who did you take?
Voorhees must kneel before Zod.
So you took Zod. And Kevin, I guess it doesn't matter since it's a 2
But
anyway,
it's
but it's odd.
It's not.
If my cousin Bubba is listening, I'm sorry. I know Jason Voorhees is your favorite horror character, but he just got knocked out. That takes us to 13th seed Gareth the Goblin King / David Bowie's crotch in Labyrinth versus Arnold in The Terminator, 1984, the original Terminator. Terminator. As much as I love Labyrinth, like all the Goblin King is really just a guy. He abducts a baby. He rules the goblins. He doesn't kill anybody. His biggest threat is that he's going to dump you into the bog of eternal stench.
I'm just a Goblin King standing in front of a
teenage girl.
Teenage girl.
And a pre-legal Jennifer Connelly asking her to love him.
Terminator is just a robot that was programmed by an AI. The AI is really the villain, not really Terminator.
Skynet. Skynet's the real villain.
Skynet controls him, yeah.
Yes, but he can be reprogrammed as what it shows in the other movies.
So can Gareth. All it took was the love of an underage girl. How can you turn that?
I'm going to go with Terminator.
So I'm going to go with Terminator, even though I've tried to.
Oh, seriously, after that fucking argument, you're going to go with Terminator anyway?
I am.
You're the one who's always talking about the AI taking over.
Yeah, that's why I went that way. I just still had to say it, you know.
Yeah. All right, Mike. I want to hear you defend this one now. The Kurgan from Highlander versus Darth Vader.
Oh, there is no defending that. This is Darth Vader, 100%.
Really, you're not gonna, because you're such a Highlander fan, you're not gonna give me an argument for the Kurgan?
I'm not that much over Star Wars. Jesus, come on now. What have you been drinking to think that?
I don't know. You guys seem like you've been trying to piss me off all night. I was just asking.
Won't somebody think about the younglings?
Wrong.
Master Skywalker, what are we going to do?
Check that out. I overheard somewhere
this is only Empire and Jedi we're talking about here.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think I need to watch Revenge of the Sith. I had overheard that they had changed the scene so that the lightsaber changes from blue to
red.
Red.
I don't know if that's younglings. I saw that online, but I don't know if it's true.
I don't know if it's true or not.
Photoshopped it. All right. So
that means.
They can't do that because that saber's the one that Anakin, Obi-Wan takes and gives to Luke later.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Power of one, a power of two. Go fuck yourself.
Power of many.
All right. Many. So that brings us to the second round here. The quarterfinals. First seed Joker versus 9th seed Johnny and the Cobra Kai. 12th seed Khan Noonien Singh versus 4th seed Terminator. 10th seed General Zod versus 2nd seed Darth Vader. 6th seed Freddy Krueger versus 16th seed Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. That's our quarterfinals. Now, before we do the voting on this, I'm going to give a few shout outs here. Some people who voted online. We got Patrick McDonald of @WayCoolCup on Twitter, who gave me for the best 80s villain, Billy Zabka, who is Johnny from Karate Kid. His reasoning is multiple movies, multiple villains, same person. Tim Usma on Facebook gave us Hans Gruber. Sorry, Tim. I tried to get him on to the next round, but I got outvoted. Juggalo Bastard on Twitter. That's Paranormal, the New Normal podcast, gave us Emperor Palpatine. And the Watch It If You Can podcast @WatchItPod on Twitter. Or on Threads rather, gave us, my older brother was a huge Queen fan, so Highlander would be an all-time for me. Clancy Brown as the Kurgan still terrifies me. That is Dave from the Watch It If You Can podcast. So thank you, folks, for your shout outs and for helping us out here. We're trying to figure out, who was going to be on our bracket tonight. So let's move on then to the quarterfinal round here. First matchup, first seed, the Joker from the 1989 Batman, played by Jack Nicholson, versus Johnny, played by Billy Zabka, and the Cobra Kai from Karate Kid.
Really?
The silence is deafening.
Really?
I mean, I don't know why we just didn't move on. We know where this one's going.
Right, Johnny, right? Sweep the leg.
Yeah.
We're dancing
We're like
with the
Beauty
Dance
and
with the devil in the dance with the devil in the moonlight, Johnny. Yeah.
I want to point out that the Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight thing, it gets used a lot from the Batman movie, but I think my favorite line from that film is when Jack Nicholson is dancing on top of the church tower with Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
And he goes, "We're like Beauty and the Beast. Of course, if anyone else calls you Beast, I'll rip their heart out." So yeah, that's definitely the Joker. First seed going to the semifinal round. Let's move over to the other side of the bracket here. We got Judge Doom, 19th seed. I keep saying 19th because it didn't change the number for me. It's 16th seed. Versus 6th seed, Freddy Krueger. This is a weird quarterfinal matchup. Not one that I was expecting. Oh, man. Judge Doom versus Freddy Krueger. I personally...
You're going for Judge Doom.
I'm going for Judge Doom. Like, Freddy Krueger actually doesn't frighten me. Like, I love the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and I think Robert Englund is hysterical in them. Like, he doesn't frighten me. I look forward to hearing him, like, make jokes about the kids he's about to kill before he kills them. Whereas Judge Doom was genuinely terrifying to me.
Yes, he was.
He's a
This is why he passed up, to this point. So, what do you think, Kev?
I think I'm going to go with Judge Doom. I agree. And
I agree with you.
The big factor of this is he can, I mean, I'm not as well versed in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but Judge Doom, there's a way of, like, he's as real as the other characters he interacts with throughout the movie. Whereas
Freddy's a dream.
Freddy's a dream. Freddy's a spirit, And I think that kind of takes away from his capability of being like there's an antagonist, a protagonist, and an antagonist. They're on the same playing field of some sort. So
it's also like the twist at the end that you find out that Doom is a cartoon himself.
Yeah.
When the whole film he's been trying to execute cartoons.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. And it's also scary because you never actually get to see what the cartoon was that he was, like he melts before you actually get to see his true identity, which makes him a mystery too. So I mean, I'm going Judge Doom. So he moves on to the next round.
He swept that one, yeah.
Yeah. So now we got Khan, Noonien Singh versus the Terminator. Oh.
Again, I think I have to apply that logic of, Khan, though he is genetically modified, is on the same playing field as Kirk and the rest of the crew members of the Enterprise, whereas the Terminator, he's on the same playing field with Kyle Reese in their own timeline. He's also just doing what he's programmed to do. He's got nothing personally invested in killing Kyle Reese, whereas for Khan, it's a vendetta. This is SETI Alpha 5.
I feel like I'm alienating any of my cousins who might be listening to the show because my cousin Gino's favorite actor is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Are we clean sweeping Khan through to the next round?
I think I'm voting for Khan.
Yeah.
I think I'm voting for Khan.
I am.
I'm voting for it based on something else you said, Mike, in the previous round too. Is the Terminator would later go on to be the
good guy.
Good guy. You know, eventually he was reprogrammed to protect Sarah Connor and all that. And I think more people probably know Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator in T2 than the original Terminator at this point.
Probably.
So I'm going Khan. So Khan moves on, and that gives us one more matchup in this quarterfinal round. General Zod versus Darth Vader. I love Terrence Stamp and I love the General Zod character, but come on.
Did he kill younglings? No.
He did not kill younglings.
He killed Kryptonians. That's okay.
Did he not? Did he cut the hand off of his own son?
He said he told people to kneel before Zod. Darth Vader could make you kneel before him.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
This
is definitely Vader.
Vader's definitely going through. It's technically Vader / Emperor Palpatine because it's a dual villain. But so that takes us to the semifinals here. The first semifinal round, the Joker from the 1989 Batman versus Khan Noonien Singh from Wrath of Khan. And in the other other semifinal round, Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit versus Darth Vader. I wish this was like a real thing, like Mortal Kombat, where I could see like Judge Doom versus Darth Vader.
It's dead.
You remember Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV?
Yeah. Let's get it on.
Get it on. All right, let's go to the Joker versus Khan Noonien Singh. This is the tough one. This really is. Like, I mean, I think most people would probably go Joker.
Yeah, but
the Joker. I mean, the Joker's always iconic.
City. I'm focusing on the universe.
See, this is where what's going to happen here is like, you're such a Wrath of Khan fan, you're going to vote for Khan. Kevin is a Batman fan, so he's probably going to vote for the Joker. So now I have to fucking figure this out. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did I say there are scarier Jokers further, later on down the line?
There are scarier Jokers, but it's not about scary per se. It's best villain. It doesn't mean they're scary.
True.
He is a great villain, and it's Jack Nicholson, and he's just as crazy but he's entertaining, and I mean, I love Ricardo Montalban in Wrath of Khan, but I'm sorry, Mike, I'm going Joker.
Yeah, well, you'll make Adrian happy because she's not a big fan of Star Trek 2.
So first seed Joker makes it to the final, and in our other matchup, we have Darth Vader versus Judge Doom. Should we just make it the matchup we thought it was going to be at the beginning anyway? Darth Vader versus
that's where I'm heading. I mean, Judge Doom had a good run, but
he had a good run. He was the bottom seed making his way to the semifinal round here.
He was in the play-in tourney to get the play-in bracket.
He went from the NIT to March Madness. All right, so we got the first seed Joker versus the second seed Darth Vader in the final round of our 80's villain tournament bracket here. I think even with all those honorable mentions I talked about earlier and how hard it was to put this bracket together, this is kind of where it was going to be ending up anyway. I kind of feel like. So now it comes down to, are you a bigger Batman fan or a bigger Star Wars fan?
It seems like you guys are doing this just to torture me.
No, I'm tortured here too, man. I love the Jack Nicholson Joker, and I love Darth Vader. Oh God.
Well, look, and I know we're focused purely on the 80s, but we are dealing with two villains who have been around for decades, and each person's portrayal of them, like Darth Vader's always Darth Vader. The Joker has changed significantly. Is he even my favorite Joker right now? He is a great Joker, but is he my favorite Joker?
I mean, if we're looking like that, like Heath Ledger is my favorite Joker.
Right. But Darth Vader,
very...
Darth Vader has been villainous in everything that Vader's been Vader in, you know,
minus his redemption and Return of the Jedi.
Right. But that was him.
The last 10 minutes of the movie, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look past that,
before then, even in that movie, he was very villainous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose my Star Wars card, so I'm voting Darth Vader just for that reason.
I think I got to go Vader as well.
Got to, because he's not only, you know, not only does he attack his own family members, he tries to get his family members to turn to the dark side, to turn on the guy that turned him to the dark side. He's trying to backstab his own bastard. Come on now.
So, to probably no one's surprise, the winner of our 80s villain tournament bracket is Darth Vader from the Star Wars franchise. And in the 80s, he was in 1980's Empire Strikes Back and 1983's Return of the Jedi. We also had Emperor Palpatine kind of listed there as well, since it was Vader Palpatine duo, but it was mostly Vader, I think, that you would look to in those films. So Palpatine was, again, like the last 20 minutes of Return of the Jedi. So
he was in Jedi more than he was ever in any other movie.
Yeah. But yeah, it was Darth. So Darth Vader has won our tournament bracket. Second place was the Joker. Third place was Khan, and fourth place was Judge Doom. So Judge Doom, like you said, made it a lot further than I thought he would, and even Khan kind of made it a little further than I thought because of the Terminator thing. But ultimately, I think we have a pretty good winner, at least here, with Darth Vader as the winner of our tournament bracket. So again, thank you to everybody who helped out with this, who gave us any feedback online. We hope you agree with our choice. And if you don't, there's other podcasts out there you can listen to.
Just
Mike,
drink a beer and listen.
Yes,
okay.
That is not secret promoting.
That's not secret promoting. Yeah. As Richard Pryor would say, just have a Coke. Have a Coke. Sit down. Shut the fuck up. Mike, you have any beer trivia or history for us this week?
I got a fun fact for you. Moderate consumption of beer can protect you against stomach ulcers by suppressing a bacteria known as H. pylori. So drink beer not to get ulcers.
Oh, wow. I'll know next time my stomach's upset, I'll just drink a beer. We have a cinema quote of the week. Thanks to Mike. Kev, do you want to read it? Mike, you want to read it? Who's reading it?
I'll read it.
All right.
There we go. Sorry, I got the mouse and I'm looking at one computer while it's on the other computer. All right. Cinema quote of the week. The older I get, the more I look at movies as a moving miracle. Audiences are harder to please if you're just giving them special effects, but they're easy to please if it's a good story. And that was said by Steven Spielberg. He knows a lot about a good story and special effects.
I've heard about that guy. Heard of him.
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to make it someday.
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah,
actually,
up and coming.
All kidding aside, I'll do a little bit of hidden promoting again here, folks. If you want to go back, we have a episode where we did a deep dive into the career of Steven Spielberg. Feel free to go back and find that episode if you'd like. Little hidden promotion there. So thank you for joining us tonight for episode 161, the best of the worst 80s movie villain edition. Again, our winner was Darth Vader in the Star Wars franchise. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Remember, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. We are on most podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. We are now on Reddit. You can follow us there. Of course, after our suspension is lifted, we're on Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're there. You can also join us on Patreon and support the show, buy our merchandise at teespring.com, or visit the Den, the Deluxe Edition Network.com to find out more about us and the podcast of the month, the Red Horse Podcast. Don't forget to stop by the Crossroads between Pickle and Fermented next time around for episode 162 in honor of his induction as a Disney legend. We're going to do a deep dive into the career of James Cameron. Once again, I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike, and yes, you heard right. We are suspended. We are the bad boys of podcasting.
This has been Films and Fermentation Podcast. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.